Hi there, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel. Today I'm looking at the new 1/48 scale kit of the Henschel Hs129B3 from Takom. This has caused some interest because it includes some optional transparent parts for one of the fuselage halves and the tops of the wings. Now if you enjoy the show, please let YouTube know by giving it the imperial thumbs up, by subscribing to the channel and by hitting the notification bell. None of these will cost you a penny and they are a great way to show your support. So let's make a start with this kit by looking at the box it comes in. So here is the box of the Henschel Hs129B3 with interior from Takom. It's part of the Takom Wings brand. It's in 1/48 scale and the code is 48002. On the front, beautiful piece of very dynamic artwork showing the 129 doing what it was supposed to do, which is shooting up at tanks. Interesting, there's like a shell casing been ejected here from the 50mm, I think it is, gun on the front here. But still, nice piece of box artwork there. There's a little thing here pointing out that this is a bonus kit in that there are some clear parts, and we'll talk about those in a little while. On this long side, you can see how deep this is. It's quite narrow, but quite deep. There's a lot of bits in here. There are the 4 schemes that have been imagined. You'll want to build 4 different aircraft here. You'll notice that the nasty symbols have been blanked out because they want to sell things across the whole of Europe, and in some countries it's illegal to do that unless it's under very specific circumstances. So, not wanting to take a risk, they blank them out, but they do provide them in the kit. The other long end here is the frame map. So all the frames here, there's 2 of these. That's the engine and the undercarriage sections. There's 2 there as well. There's more engine stuff there. There's the decal sheet as well, and there's a single piece lower wing, and there's other bits and pieces which we'll talk about in a while. This, by the way, is a transparent frame right here. Oh yes, transparent. So that's all very nice. Let's have a look and see what we get inside the box for our money. It's a top slide-on box, as is usual for these things, and there's lots of bits of plastic. There's lots and lots and lots. Each frame is individually wrapped. So there's, well, no, actually that's not true. There are 4 frames in that box. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 frames altogether of plastic. And then there is this bag here, which contains the decal sheet, quite a nice decal sheet, and the instruction booklet. But we'll have a look at all these different bits in a bit more detail. This is frame A. These are the wing structures, all the spars and cross members of the wing. There's some fuel tanks here for the wings. I think this is a fuselage tank as well. And other bits and pieces. This is some of the structure of the fuselage here. There's a piece here which I don't know what it is, but it's got 4 prongs and it's got bent because of the way it was sitting in the box in a packet. But anyway, that's frame A. Frame B has these are ailerons. Looks like the rudder, fins, flaps, little bits and pieces, a tail wheel, I'm guessing, an aerial of some sort, and of course the propellers. Now this is frames C and D. There are 2 frames D and 2 frames C. What I find weird is that they've come in the packet like still joined together by this sort of flimsy bit of plastic that's kind of broken in places and not in others. Anyway, let's go through these. Frame C here is the bulk of the engine parts here. Obviously the cylinders and com rods, exhausts here, all sorts of various bits and pieces. I don't know what those are. There may be mass balances for the wings, or they may be something to do with the inlets for the engine. I'm not quite sure yet because I haven't built it. And here on frame D, there's some engine covers, there's the horizontal stabilizer parts, there's the elevator. Of course, there are two of these, there's two elevators. Prop boss, undercarriage parts, main undercarriage parts, and wheels, and also a light bomb, which I guess is on some versions of the aircraft. Then there's frame E, which is an exciting thing because this is the 75mm gun. So 75mm shells, it could carry 12 of them. And there's the auto-loader components as well, and the muzzle brake for the gun is here as well. So these are some of the components used to make the gun. Frame H, more gun and such. There's a gun barrel, the gondola for it to sit in, other bits and pieces around to hold the gun inside the fuselage. It's quite a big piece of kit for the aircraft to hold. Yeah, that's a little bit bent, but yeah. I'm sure that'll straighten out eventually. But anyway, that's most of the parts of the gun. Frame J, main undercarriage legs here, components for the engine nacelles, undercarriage bays, and so on and so forth. Frame K is centered around the cockpit, so we have the instrument panels. There's two optional instrument panels here, rudder bars and rudder. The joystick is up here, control column I should say, more instruments there that go outside the aircraft. I believe they go on one of the gear doors or something, very clever design. And there's a harness here which doesn't look that great, so we might do something a bit creative with the harness. Frame M for Mike are the upper halves of the wings, if you're using the grey plastic, that is, of course. And then frame N for November are the two fuselage halves. Then finally for the grey plastic parts is a single piece underside of the wing. And finally there is frame P. Now this, as you can see, are the transparent parts, and as well as the usual canopy and windshield and stuff like lights and all that, we have the upper surfaces of both wings, we have the port side of the fuselage, and we have a cover that will go here which covers the cannon stuff in here, the magazine and so on and so forth. So that will let you see the working of the cannon. You can probably mask this off. If you want to, you can mask that off. If you don't, leave it as it is, but you could paint it, and so be looking at the painting and then inside the workings, or you could leave that clear as well and see the workings. I'm going to leave that till later to decide which to do. I will probably only do one wing in clear, and I will probably mask it so, you know, so it goes sort of around like that, rather than just do the whole thing in clear. Although that means, of course, there won't be any surface detail because these parts are completely flat on the top. Then there's no texture to them at all. There's no panel lines, there's no rivets, there's no holes for things like fuel access or anything like that. So I kind of undecided what to do about that at the moment. Part of me thinks that a really, really clever modeler might be able to figure out where they want these things to be, cut them out of these clear parts, and then cut relevant holes in the plastic parts and then use these as like a window. But I am not that kind of modeler. Let me tell you right now, that's not what I can do. But I guarantee someone will be able to do that. And again, with the fuselage, I'll probably actually hack out some of this, put it in, and then put the clear plastic on top. But as I say, that's just not me. So I'll probably just live with the lack of surface detail. I'll do one side with the regular wing, the other side with a mask over it, and then paint everything else and take the mask off so it leaves the clear part. That's probably my plan. If we have a look at the plastic here, I mean, it looks really sharply moulded, I have to say. It looks very, very impressive. It looks clean, it looks precise, and very lovely, which is nice. I mean, Takom's got quite a good reputation, let's say. And, you know, these look good. Lovely little rivet markings around there. All very nice. This is the inside surface, and what you notice straight away is all of these ejector pins have been left up there for you to clean out. That's a you problem. You'll notice the feeds are also top feeds onto the side of the moulding here. So what you do is with your nippers you cut across there so it's flush with the leading edge, then lay them flat on here and just take that little nib off, and that's pretty much it cleaned off, which is a really nice way of doing edges that are going to have to fit together like these wing sections are. Here this one's got a little bit of a white mark because this got bent quite quickly and quite easily in the pack. But otherwise, these are really nicely moulded. Look, again, you've got to take this off, which is annoying. Because remember, this is underneath where the structure is going that we're painting. If we want to have a look inside the wings, so these have got to be properly got rid of, which is, would have preferred that to have been done for me, but then maybe I'm just a lazy modeller. The fuselage sides, again, they have a look of absolute precision. Now, when you actually do take a good close look, there's not that much more detail than you would normally find on a lot of other kits. Maybe these bits here are a little bit better moulded than most then. But the rest of the skin and the parts they just look better. I don't know how to describe it other than they just look better. It might be the plastic they use. The plastic feels a little flimsier than a lot of other companies use. It's a more ICM than Airfix, I would say. This line of rivets is okay. It's, you know, it's not the... It just looks right. It doesn't necessarily whether it is actually right or not. Maybe it's because they do things like this step in the moulding. This is a single piece, maybe on other kits that would be a separate piece to put in. I don't know. Maybe it's just the design, the way they do the moulding, but it looks very nice. And then onto some of the real detail pieces. This is obviously the controls, instrument panel. They look really nice. All these bits look, actually, what I think it is they look like they're going to fit. Do you know what I mean? It actually it gives it the impression that these are going to fit. Now, I don't know whether it's the actual moulding, whether it's the colour of the plastic, this sort of very matte, almost look like it's primed sort of feel to the plastic. I don't know. It's very strange. There's a little bit of a mould line on there, but not much. Nothing we can't deal with. The direction finding aerial is on like a tiny little flat piece there that looks nice. All these rudder pedals are good. The rudder bars are fine. This is 1/48, so you know these should be okay. But it just has this feel of a nice precise bit of moulding. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. Here's the Decals sheet. At first glance, looks okay. The colours look okay. Looks crisp enough, really. Obviously, all the schemes are mixed up, so you have to go through the instructions and find out which bits go on which ones. Are not sort of separated out into individuals as, say, an Airfix one would. There's no indication here where these are made. I'm going to guess they're made in China, like everything else of this. But the yellow looks pretty good, which is always a nice thing to see. Blacks and whites look reasonably sharp, but I think we need a much closer look to see what the quality is really like. One thing I would say, by the way, is that the cut doesn't line up with the decals. Now, it doesn't immediately spring to mind, well, what's so important about that? And to me, it's just a precision thing. If you look at a cartograph sheet, everything, it lines up absolutely exactly, whereas this doesn't, which suggests to me that we may find one or two tiny little problems with this, but let's have a look. So while everything at first glance looks hunky-dory, there are just a few, these are tiny issues. Okay, so this is a 1/2 mil pencil lead as usual, our standard measure. Now while these look fine, you can see there's a little bit of misalignment here on the edges of these triangles. And here the red cross isn't exactly in the center. I mean, these are tiny, tiny, tiny differences. Let's be honest, they are minuscule differences, but does that maybe contribute to this looking a bit dull? Obviously it's grey, but the black is at some sort of alignment issue here, with the black and the white don't sort of combine properly, because all of those look very, very dull indeed. Would have expected, especially for the scale, you can afford to go more bold with the whites, and don't try and make an exact scale replica of these things, because you'll never see any. You might as well just paint them completely black, which is kind of what I suspect has happened here, but also it could be part of the alignment issue as well. Again, on the octane, I think these are probably octane labels, you can see the yellow's not absolutely aligned with the white and the black. It's a tiny difference, a tiny, tiny, tiny difference. I mean, you're not going to really notice these. I only point it out because, you know, it's scale modeling's a pretty exact sort of thing, and sometimes the tiniest details look odd. These all look pretty nice, to be honest with you. The actual printing here looks a bit heavy-handed, but you know, for what I'm doing, and bearing in mind they're going to go on to some German camouflage as well, I don't think these are going to be an issue at all, realistically. And here we have the instruction book. History of the Hs129 here points out indeed this is the 75mm, the BK 7.5 Canon on here, which fitted to the 129B3, which is what this is. Inside there's a few sort of general modelling hints here. There's another frame map here. Remember, there's one on the side of the box as well. And then we get into the instructions. Very little between each step, which is a good thing. And I guess you can use these to try and get the alignments on here, maybe. Sometimes the instructions don't seem that clear. Sometimes they seem absolutely crystal clear. It's just a bit bizarre. Here, for example, it's not absolutely sure which way around things go, but then you look at that and then you can figure out exactly what it was. So as you can see here, this is where you've built the side of the fuselage, the gun, the magazine, all the rest of it. You put it into this side with all the frames along there for the structure, internal structure, and then you've got a choice of the clear or the plastic part to go on. Everything else seems relatively straightforward. That's the bit that I found bent in the kit. It's the tail, so that will need to be straightened out properly before it goes on. Interestingly, the wing construction is quite clever in that you actually put the spar and the ribs on first. So you put the structure on first, then the fuel tanks go in on each side, and then you put the skin on the bottom, because of course you can be spraying that, and that could be open, because over here, as you see, you have got the option of the clear part or the plastic part, the grey plastic part to go on. There's undercarriage manufacture goes on there, whether it's down, it's a different thing. If you want the undercarriage up, there's different things you have to do. There's the engine here, make 2 of them, thank you very much. And so on and so forth. It's relatively straightforward looking. There's a lot of bits and pieces of coverings and whatever, but nothing terribly difficult, I don't think, he said, hopefully. There's the rest of the gun construction there. It all goes underneath there. Some fillets and the cover. This is the cover for the gun. Remember, there's either a clear part here or a two-part grey part that goes on. Grey part on the other side as well to cover over the rotary magazine for the 75mm gun. Props go on, and then you're done, and then you are into 4 schemes of the aircraft. Interestingly, they don't tell you here what the schemes are actually representing, so you just pick one that looks quite cool. I kind of like the idea of having the yellow. I kind of like the idea of this one, the first one, but I'll see here. I kind of like this, the yellow bits in here, and I do like this sort of classic Splinter camouflage look on there. So that's the instruction booklet. Seems okay. I'll see how it goes. I've got no real experience with Takom, so I don't know what these are like actually in practice, but they look okay. So there it is. The parts look clean and well moulded. Detail is subtle but likely good enough to highlight where needed, of course, and it looks like it will make an excellent kit of the Henschel Hs129. Where I'm slightly disappointed is in the large transparent parts. I would have preferred them to come with the same surface detail, rivets, panel lines and so on, as the grey parts. That way you could paint part of the surface and then mask the other bits clear like an old school cutaway drawing, even maybe edge them in red. But doing it this way isn't too bad. You can of course scribe lines and run rivets if you really want them. However, the option to have clear and opaque parts in the same kit is very good, and with suitable levels of interior detailing, it's a superb addition to the possibilities for this kit. Why not leave a comment to let me know what you think of the kit, and of course, if you enjoyed the video, then please let YouTube know by giving it a thumbs up, by subscribing to the channel, and by hitting that notification bell to know when future videos are released, including the build of this kit. Thanks very much for watching today, and goodbye.